Hi, I'm Emily. Before I dive into this wild story about how my dream wedding almost turned into a nightmare, please like and subscribe to hear more tales of family drama and sweet revenge. I never imagined that finding my perfect wedding dress would lead to so much trouble. But when you're dealing with a monster in law like Victoria, anything can happen. It all began when James proposed. We had been dating for 3 years, and I was over the moon. My family was thrilled. My parents even cried when we told them. "Oh, sweetie, we're so happy for you," my mom said, hugging me tight. My dad clapped James on the back, saying, "Welcome to the family, son." I was on cloud nine, ready to start planning our perfect day. And then I met Victoria, James' mom. At first, she seemed great. "Emily, darling, I'm so excited to finally meet you," she gushed, air kissing my cheeks. I was relieved. I'd heard horror stories about awful in-laws, but Victoria seemed wonderful. Boy, was I wrong. The first red flag appeared when we went dress shopping. My best friend Sarah came along for moral support. "Oh, you look stunning," Sarah squealed as I tried on a lacy A-line gown. But Victoria's smile seemed forced. "It's nice, but don't you think it's a bit revealing?" I frowned, glancing at the modest neckline. "Really? I thought it was pretty conservative." Victoria shrugged. "Well, I suppose if that's what you like." I tried to shake it off, but Victoria's comments kept coming. When I found my dream dress, a beautiful vintage-inspired gown, her reaction was lukewarm at best. "Are you sure about that one, dear? It's so old-fashioned." But I stood my ground. "I love it. It's perfect." Later, I vented to James about his mom's behavior. "Babe, I'm sure she didn't mean anything by it," he said, ever the peacemaker. "Mom's just particular about fashion." I nodded, not wanting to cause drama. "You're probably right. I'm just being sensitive." But as the wedding planning continued, Victoria's helpfulness became suffocating. She had opinions on everything: the venue, the flowers, even the font on our invitations. "Emily, dear, don't you think roses are a bit cliché?" she'd say. Or, "Wouldn't it be nicer to have the reception at the country club instead?" I tried to include her, hoping we'd bond. "Victoria, would you like to come cake tasting with us?" Her smile didn't reach her eyes. "Of course, dear. Someone needs to make sure you don't choose something too sweet." By the time our wedding was a month away, I was stressed to the max. Sarah noticed during our final dress fitting. You okay? You seem tense." I sighed, smoothing down the dress I've fallen in love with. "It's Victoria. I feel like nothing I do is good enough for her." Sarah squeezed my hand. "Don't let her get to you. This is your day, not hers." I nodded, determined to stay positive. Little did I know, Victoria had plans that would throw our entire wedding into chaos. But standing there in my perfect dress, surrounded by people who truly cared about me, I felt invincible. If only I'd known what was coming, maybe I could have prevented the storm that was about to hit. 2 weeks before the wedding, I went to try on my dress one last time. I opened the garment bag and my heart stopped. It was empty. "Mom," I yelled, panic rising. "Have you seen my wedding dress?" We tore the house apart, but it was nowhere to be found. That's when I remembered Victoria had been over yesterday, helping with wedding prep. I called James, trying to stay calm. "Babe, my dress is missing." "Was your mom here yesterday?" "Yeah, she stopped by." "Why? You don't think?" I cut him off. "Can you ask her if she saw it?" An hour later, Victoria showed up at my door, all wide-eyed innocence. "Oh, Emily, I'm so sorry. I thought that dress was meant for donation. I dropped it off at the charity shop downtown." I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. "You what?" James tried to mediate. "Mom, how could you make that mistake?" Victoria's lip quivered. "I was just trying to help." Emily said she wanted to declutter. My wedding dress. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. We spent the next week visiting every charity shop in town. No luck. The dress had vanished. James was frustrated. "Mom, are you sure you took it to a charity shop? Maybe you mixed up the locations." Victoria's eyes welled up. "Are you accusing me of lying? I'm devastated about this mistake." But something didn't add up. I confided in Sarah over coffee. "It's just too convenient, you know. She never liked that dress." Sarah nodded, her eyes narrowing. "Yeah, it does seem fishy. Have you talked to James about your suspicions?" I sighed. "I've tried. But he always defends her." I didn't want to cause any drama before the wedding. Then one evening, while I was at James's house, I overheard Victoria on the phone. Yes, it's taken care of, she whispered. That tacky dress is long gone. Now, maybe she'll choose something more appropriate. My blood ran cold. I had been right all along. Victoria had deliberately gotten rid of my dress. I burst into the room, shaking with anger. I heard you. You did this on purpose. Victoria's face went pale. Emily, I don't know what you think you heard, but James came running. What's going on? I turned to him, tears in my eyes. Your mother got rid of my dress on purpose. I just heard her on the phone. Victoria's demeanor changed instantly. Don't be ridiculous. You're clearly stressed about the wedding and hearing things. James looked between us, clearly torn. Emily, are you sure? Maybe you misunderstood. I couldn't believe it. Are you serious right now? Your mother has been undermining me this entire time, and you're still defending her. Victoria seized the opportunity. See how she's acting, James? Maybe this is a sign you two aren't ready for marriage. That was the last straw. I stormed out, ignoring James's calls to come back. Back home, I paced my room, furious and heartbroken. How could I marry into a family with such a manipulative woman? And how could James not see through her act? I called Sarah, my voice shaking. It's worse than we thought. Victoria did it on purpose, and James doesn't believe me. Sarah's voice was firm. Okay, that's it. We're not letting her get away with this. It's time to fight fire with fire. As we started plotting our next move, I felt a mix of determination and sadness. This wasn't how I imagined the lead up to my wedding would be, but one thing was clear. I wasn't going to let Victoria win, not by a long shot. After the blow-up with Victoria, I was at my wit's end. Sarah came over, armed with ice cream and a determined look. All right, Em, we need to get serious. I think we should hire a PI. I nearly choked on my ice cream. A private investigator? Isn't that a bit extreme? Sarah shook her head. Not if we want to expose Victoria's lies. We need proof. Reluctantly, I agreed. We hired a guy named Mike who promised discretion and results. A week later, Mike called with shocking news. Emily, you might want to sit down for this. Victoria has a history of sabotaging her children's relationships. My jaw dropped. What? How? Mike explained that Victoria had pulled similar stunts with James' older sister, causing her engagement to fall apart. And get this, Mike continued. I've tracked Victoria making multiple visits to a specific charity shop across town, not the one she claimed to donate your dress to. Mike's next revelation floored us. She's been seen leaving the shop with a large garment bag. I think she might still have the dress. My heart raced. We need to get that dress back and expose her to James. Sarah nodded, a glint in her eye. I've got an idea. We'll set up a sting operation. While we plotted, James was caught in the middle. He called, sounding torn. Emily, I love you, but my mom swears she's innocent. I don't know what to believe. I tried to keep my cool. James, think about everything that's happened. Does it really seem like a series of accidents? He sighed heavily. I don't know. Can we talk about this in person? I agreed to meet him, hoping to make him see reason. But when I arrived at his place, Victoria was there too. Emily dear, she said, her voice sickly sweet. I think we all need to clear the air. I steeled myself. Fine. Let's talk about how you deliberately got rid of my dress. Victoria's eyes widened in shock. How dare you accuse me? James, are you hearing this? James looked pained. Emily, please. Mom says it was an accident. Why would she lie? I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Why? Because she's been trying to sabotage our wedding from day one. Victoria turned on the waterworks. I've only ever wanted what's best for you both, Emily. If you can't trust me, how can you be part of this family? I'd had enough. Trust you? After everything you've done? James, if you can't see what's happening here, then maybe we shouldn't get married. I stormed out, leaving a stunned James and a smirking Victoria behind. Back home, I was a mess of emotions. Sarah listened as I recounted everything. That's it, she said firmly. Time to put our plan into action. We're going to catch Victoria red-handed. I nodded, a new determination filling me. You're right, no more playing nice. It's time to show James and everyone else who Victoria really is. We spent the next few days setting up our sting operation. Mike provided us with Victoria's usual schedule for visiting the charity shop. We planned to confront her there, with James present to witness everything. The night before our plan was set to unfold, I tossed and turned, unable to sleep. What if this didn't work? What if James still didn't believe me? I picked up my phone, tempted to call him. I stopped myself. Tomorrow would decide everything. Morning came and Sarah arrived early, determination etched on her face. "Are you ready for this?" she asked, squeezing my hand. I took a deep breath. "Ready as I'll ever be. Let's take her down." As we drove to the charity shop, a whirlwind of emotions churned inside me. Nervousness, excitement, and a touch of fear. This was it, our last chance to expose Victoria's lies and save my relationship with James. Whatever happened today, nothing would ever be the same. Sarah and I parked across the street from the charity shop, our hearts racing. We had tipped off James, who agreed to meet us there, still skeptical but willing to see the truth for himself. "There's Victoria," Sarah whispered as a familiar figure entered the shop. 15 minutes later, Victoria emerged, clutching a familiar garment bag. My dress. We confronted her on the sidewalk, James appearing from around the corner. "Mom," he asked, shocked. "What are you doing?" Victoria's eyes darted between us. "James, I was just." I cut her off. "Just returning the dress you accidentally donated? We know everything." James stepped closer, his face a mixture of confusion and anger. "Mom, is that Emily's wedding dress?" Victoria's mask slipped. "James, honey, this girl isn't right for you. I was trying to protect you." Her demeanor changed instantly. "Fine, you want the truth." "Yes, I did get rid of the dress. You're not good enough for my son." James stepped between us. "That's enough, Mom. Emily is the woman I love, and you've been trying to ruin that." Victoria tried to backpedal. "James, sweetie, you don't mean that. I'm your mother." "Yes, you are," James said firmly, "but that doesn't give you the right to control my life or hurt Emily." Victoria made one last desperate attempt. "If you choose her, you're no longer my son." James didn't flinch. "If that's your choice, Mom, but I choose Emily." The next day, we called a family meeting. James recounted everything: the dress, the lies, the history of sabotage. Gasps and murmurs filled the room. James's sister spoke up. "So it wasn't just me. She did this before?" James nodded grimly, and who knows how many other times. His father looked devastated. "Victoria, how could you do this to our children?" Victoria, cornered, lashed out. "I was protecting them. None of you understand." But her words fell on deaf ears. The family had seen her true colors. James's dad stood up. "Victoria, I think it's best if you leave, and don't expect to be welcome at the wedding." As Victoria stormed out, the family rallied around James and me. The wedding day arrived, more beautiful than I could have imagined. As I walked down the aisle in my recovered dress, I saw James beaming at me, surrounded by his supportive family. Later, during our first dance, James whispered, "I'm so sorry about everything with my mom. Thank you for fighting for us." I smiled up at him. We make a pretty good team, don't we? As we swayed to the music, I knew we could handle anything life threw our way. We had weathered the storm together, and our love was stronger for it. Months later, we heard that Victoria had moved away, still unrepentant. But we didn't dwell on it. We were too busy building our life together, surrounded by the love and support of our true family. Now that the story has come to an end, I have a question for you. Was Emily justified in hiring a private investigator and setting up a sting operation to expose Victoria? Or did she cross a line by invading her future mother-in-law's privacy? Share your thoughts in the comments below. How far would you go to protect your relationship from a toxic family member? Is there a point where seeking the truth becomes an unethical invasion of privacy? If you enjoyed this tale of wedding drama and family conflict, please hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more stories of overcoming toxic relationships. Your support helps us create more content like this. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to let us know what you think.